In the Dark by E. Nesbit. Chapter 1. A Shocking Confession. Maybe he was mad. Maybe he had a sixth sense. Or was he really haunted? He told me the first part of the story, and I saw the last part with my own eyes. At school, my friend Haldane and I hated a boy called Visga. When we did something wrong, he always told the teacher. One day we stole some cherries from a tree.
"Do you know who did it, Visga?"
The teacher asked.
"It was Haldane and Winston,"
he replied. Later, Haldane asked him how he knew it was us.
"I didn't know,"
he said.
"I just felt certain, and I was right."
Haldane and I grew up. Visga became a vegetarian and never drank alcohol. He also became Sir George Visga. When we all left Oxford University, I went away to India. After a year, I came back and wanted to see Haldane. He was always happy, kind, and honest. I wanted to see the smile in his blue eyes again and hear his happy laugh, so I went to visit him in London. But this time, he did not laugh. He was miserable. His face was pale, and he looked weak and ill. He was packing his things, and there were lots of big boxes full of furniture and books around the house.
"I'm moving,"
he said.
"I don't like this house. There's something strange about it. I'm going tomorrow."
"Let's go out and have some dinner," I said.
"I'm too busy."
He looked nervously around the room.
"Look, I'm really happy to see you, but why don't you go to the restaurant and bring back some food?"
When I came back, we sat by the fire and ate the food. I tried to tell jokes, and he tried to laugh, but sometimes he looked into the shadows in the corners of the room. We finished our meal, and then I said, "Well?"
"What's the matter?"
"You tell me," I answered. He was silent. Again he looked into the shadows. "You're very nervous," I said. "What is it? Drink? Gambling? Women? Tell me, or go and tell your doctor. You're ill, my friend."
"I won't be your friend if you talk like that."
"Well, I am your friend, and something is wrong. Come on, tell me." But he did not tell me anything. He asked me to stay for the night, but I had a room in a hotel, so I left him. When I returned the next morning, he was gone, and some men were putting his boxes into a van. Haldane did not leave his new address. I saw him again more than a year later. He came to see me early one morning before breakfast. He looked really bad, worse than before. His face was thin and white, like a ghost, and his hands were shaking. I invited him to have breakfast with me, but I did not ask him any questions because I knew he wanted to tell me something. I made coffee, talked, and waited.
"I'm going to kill myself,"
he began.
"Don't worry. I won't do it here or now. I'll do it when it's necessary. When I can't continue to live anymore, and I want somebody to know why. Can I tell you?"
"Yes, of course," I said, astonished.
"You must promise not to tell anybody while I'm alive,"
he said. "I promise." He looked at the fire silently.
"It's difficult to begin,"
he said.
"You remember George Visga, don't you?"
"Yes. I haven't seen him for a long time, but somebody told me he went to an island to teach vegetarianism to the cannibals," I laughed. "Anyway, he's gone." Haldane did not laugh.
"Yes, he's gone. But not to an island. He's dead.
Dead? How?
You remember he always knew when people did bad things and told the teacher? Well, he told a girl some bad things about me. I loved her, but she left me. Then she died suddenly. Oh, it was terrible. When I went to the funeral, he was there. I came back home and sat thinking about it, and then he arrived.
I hope you told him to go away, I said angrily.
No, I listened to him. He came to say it was better that she was dead and we hadn't got married. I asked why, and he said because there was madness in my family.
And is there?
I don't know. But he said he knew and had told my girlfriend. I said I never knew anything about madness in the family. And he said, "So, you see, it's better you didn't get married, isn't it?" And then I put my hands around his neck. I don't know if I meant to kill him, but that's what happened.
I was shocked. I said nothing. What can you say when your friend tells you he is a murderer? Haldane continued.
I saw that he was dead, but I was very calm. I sat down and thought, there's no blood, no weapon. Everybody knows Vizger is going to an island. And he told me he said goodbye to them. So there's no problem. I must get rid of his body, that's all.
How? He smiled.
No, I won't tell you. You promised not to tell anybody. But maybe you'll talk in your sleep or when you have a fever one day. I'll be safe if you don't know where the body is. Do you see?
I was sorry for my friend, but I could not believe he was a murderer. I said, "Yes, I see. Look, let's go away together. Let's travel and see the world and forget about Vizger." He looked very happy.
You understand and you don't hate me. Why didn't I tell you before? It's too late now.
Too late? No, it isn't. Come on, we'll pack our suitcases tonight. We'll go where nobody can find us. He said,
When I tell you what has happened to me, you'll change your mind.
"But I know what has happened to you,"
No.
he said slowly.
I've told you what happened to him, not what happened to me. That's very different. Did I tell you what his last words were? Just before I put my hands around his neck, he said, "Careful, Haldane. You'll never get rid of my body." Well, I got rid of his body, and I forgot about his last words. But a year later, I was sitting here, and I suddenly remembered them. "I got rid of your body very easily, Vizger," I said. And then I looked at the carpet in front of the fire and... Ah!
Haldane screamed very loudly.
I can't tell you. No, I can't.
Chapter 2. A Haunted Man. At that moment we heard thunder outside. I went to the window and saw some dark storm clouds in the sky.
Where was I?
Haldane said.
Oh yes, I looked at the carpet and there he was, Vizger. I can't explain it. The door was closed, the windows were closed. He wasn't there before, and he was there now. That's all.
A hallucination, I said.
That's exactly what I thought,
he answered.
But I touched it. It was real. It was heavy and hard, like stone. The arms were rigid like the arms of a statue.
It was a hallucination, I repeated.
Well, I thought somebody had put him here to frighten me. So I went to the place where I had hidden him, and he was there, just as he was a year before.
My dear Haldane, I said, this is very funny.
You might think it's funny, but when I wake up in the night and think of it, it isn't funny at all. I don't want to die in the dark, Winston. That's why I think I'll kill myself, so I'm sure that I won't die in the dark.
Is that all?
No, he came back again. I was asleep on the train one day, and when I woke up, he was on the seat opposite me. He looked the same as before, hard and rigid like a statue. I threw him out of the window in the tunnel. If I see him again, I'll kill myself. You think I'm mad, but I'm not. You can't help me. Nobody can help me. He knew, you see. He said, "You'll never get rid of my body." And I can't. He always knew things. Winston, I promise you I'm not mad.
I don't think you're mad. I think your mind is disturbed. But we'll stay together. If you can talk to me, you won't imagine things. So we went travelling together, and I was full of hope. Haldane was always a rational man, and I could not believe he was mad. I wanted to help him get better. After a month or two, the madness passed, and we joked and laughed again. I was extremely happy that my old friend was normal. He's forgotten about Visger, I thought, and now he's fine. We arrived in Bruges, where there was a big exhibition, and all the hotels were full. We could only find one room with a single bed in a hotel called the Grande Vigne, so I had to sleep in the armchair. We had dinner and went to a pub, and it was late when we returned to our room. We talked for a while, and then Haldane got into bed. I tried to sleep in the armchair, but it was not very comfortable. I was nearly asleep when Haldane began to talk about his will.
I've left everything to you, Winston,
he said.
I know I can trust you to take care of everything.
Thank you, I said sleepily. Let's talk about it in the morning. But he continued, telling me what a good friend I was. I told him to go to sleep, but he said he was thirsty. Oh, all right, I said. Light the candle and go and get some water. And then, please let me sleep.
No, you light it. I don't want to get out of bed in the dark. I might step on something or walk into something that wasn't there when I got into bed.
I lit the candle, and he sat up in bed and looked at me. His face was very pale, his hair untidy, and his eyes were shining.
That's better,
he said.
Oh, look here. There are 2 big letters on the sheet in red cotton. G.V. George Visger.
No, it's the symbol of the Hotel Grande Vigne, I said. Hurry up and get the water.
Please come with me, Winston.
I'll go down by myself. And I went to the door with the candle in my hand. He jumped off the bed in a second.
No, I don't want to stay alone in the dark,
he said, like a frightened child. I tried to make a joke of it, but I was very disappointed. It was clear to me that all my time spent trying to help him had been wasted, and that he was not better after all. We went down as quietly as we could, and got some water from the dining room. Haldane took the candle from me, and went very slowly back towards our room. He looked round very carefully. I knew what he was looking for, and I became angry and nervous. When we entered the room, I almost expected to see something on the carpet, but of course there was nothing. I put out the candle, pulled the blankets around me, and tried to get comfortable in my chair so I could sleep again.
You've got all the blankets,
Haldane said. No, I haven't. Only the ones I had before.
Well, I can't find mine. I'm so cold. Light the candle. Quick, light it. There's something horrible.
But I could not find the matches.
Light the candle,
he shouted.
If you don't, he'll come to me. He'll come in the dark. I can't die in the dark. Please, Winston, light the candle.
I am lighting it, I said angrily. But in the dark I was trying to find the matches with my hands. On the shelf, the table. I could not remember where I had put them. You're not going to die. It's all right. I'll get the matches in a second.
It's cold, it's cold, it's cold,
he said, like that, 3 times. And then he screamed loudly, like a child or like a rabbit attacked by dogs. What is it? I cried. There was silence. Then, very slowly,
It's Visger.
he said, and his voice seemed strange and distant. Of course it isn't. My hand found the matches as I spoke.
He's here!
He screamed.
Here, next to me, in the bed!
I lit the candle. I ran to the bed. He was lying on the edge of the bed. Next to him was a dead man, white and cold. Haldane had died in the dark. There was a simple explanation. Haldane and I were in the wrong room, the dead man's room. His name was Félix Leblanc, and he had died from a heart attack earlier that day. I found out more information in England. The police found the body of a man with a bottle of poison in his hand in a railway tunnel. His name was Simmons, and he had drunk poison in Haldane's carriage because he was depressed. Haldane had thrown his body out of the window. Haldane left me all his possessions in his will. I asked a police inspector to be with me when I opened the boxes he had left me. Inside one were the bodies of 2 men. One man was identified later. He was a salesman who had died of epilepsy. The other body was Visger's. I leave it to you to explain the events in this story. I cannot find an explanation that satisfies me. The Upper Berth by F. Marion Crawford. Chapter 1. The Mystery of Cabin 105. We were all tired after a long dinner one evening, but nobody wanted to go home. Then somebody shouted,
Bring the cigars!
It was Brisbane, a big, strong man. Everybody turned to look at him. Lighting his cigar, he said,
It's strange, you know.
We all stopped talking.
It's strange.
He said again.
People are always asking if anyone's seen a ghost. Well, I have.
Somebody said,
Tell us the story, Brisbane.
We lit our cigars, ordered another bottle of champagne, and listened to his story.
When I used to travel to America, I liked to sail on certain ships. The Kamchatka used to be my favourite. It isn't my favourite now, and I never want to travel on it again. I remember it was a warm morning in June. When I went on board, I told the steward the number of my cabin, 105. He nearly dropped my suitcase. Well, God help you, he said quietly. I thought he might be drunk, but I said nothing and followed him. Cabin 105 was a large room with 2 berths with curtains around them. Mine was the lower one. That morning the cabin seemed empty and depressing, and I didn't like it. I gave the steward some money, and he thanked me. I'll try to make you comfortable, he said, and then added quietly, if that's possible in this cabin. I was surprised, but again I thought he was drunk. I was wrong. Our voyage began. On the first day, everything was normal. That night I was tired and went to my cabin early. I noticed another suitcase by the door and a walking stick and an umbrella in the berth above mine. I wasn't happy because I had wanted to be on my own. Who was my companion? I decided to stay awake and see. Later, I was lying in bed in the dark when he came in. He was tall, very thin and pale, with fair hair and a beard and grey eyes. He looked like the type of man who makes money on Wall Street or by gambling. I decided I didn't want to talk to him. If he gets up early, I'll get up late, I said to myself before I went to sleep. During the night, a loud noise suddenly woke me up. It was the other man jumping out of bed. Then I heard him unlock the cabin door. He ran out very fast, leaving the door open. I heard his footsteps along the passage. I got up angrily to close the door and went back to sleep. When I woke up, it was still dark. The air was damp and I felt cold. There was a strange smell in the cabin, like old seawater. I could hear the other man moving in the berth above mine. So, he's come back, I thought. Then he made a low sound of pain, and I thought he was feeling seasick. Then I fell asleep. When I woke up again, the cabin was still cold. Suddenly, I noticed that the window was open, so I got up and closed it. The curtains were closed around the other berth, so I thought the man was asleep. The smell of seawater had disappeared. At about 7 o'clock, I went for a walk around the ship, and I met the ship's doctor from Ireland, a young man with black hair, blue eyes, and a happy face. I said the weather was not very good. "It was very cold last night," I continued, "but my window was open all night, and the room was damp." "Damp? Where is your cabin?" "It's cabin 105. The ship's doctor looked at me with big eyes. I asked what was the matter. "Oh, nothing," he answered. "Well, I'll tell you. Everybody has complained about that room on our last 3 trips. Good. And I'm going to complain too. But I believe there's something... no, I mustn't frighten you." "Oh, you won't frighten me. If I get a bad cold, I'll come to you." We laughed, and I offered him a cigar. Then he asked me if I had a roommate. "Yes, a strange man who runs out in the middle of the night and leaves the door open." The ship's doctor gave me a curious look. "Did he come back?" "Yes, he was there when I woke up." "Look, my cabin is big enough for 4 people. You can sleep there tonight." I was really surprised. Why was he so anxious about me? I thanked him and said my cabin was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. "We doctors aren't superstitious," he said, "but please don't sleep in 105. Come and stay in my cabin." "But why?" "Because the last 3 people who slept there went overboard." I looked at him to see if he was joking, but he looked very serious. I said, "I really don't think I'll be the 4th person to go overboard." "I think you'll change your mind before we arrive in America," he said. After breakfast, I went to my cabin to get a book. The curtains around my roommate's berth were still closed, so I thought he was asleep. As I came out, I met the steward, who said the captain wanted to see me in his cabin. "I want to ask you a favour," said the captain when I arrived. "Your roommate has disappeared. Did you notice anything strange about him?" "Has he gone overboard?" I asked, remembering the ship doctor's story. "Yes, I think so." "That's incredible. He's the 4th person." And I told him the story of cabin 105. I also told him what had happened to me in the night. "That's the same story the other roommates told me," the captain said. "Nobody saw the man last night. The steward found his berth empty this morning and looked for him, but he's disappeared." Please don't tell the other passengers. I don't want my ship to get a bad reputation for suicide. You can sleep in any cabin you like for the rest of the voyage. Is that all right?" "Thank you, Captain, but my cabin is empty now, so I'll stay there." The captain tried to change my mind, but I told him I was happy to have the room to myself. I asked him if the steward could remove my roommate's things and do something about the damp and the window. After I left the captain, I saw the ship's doctor, and we played cards. I went to my room late. Chapter 2. The Cabin of Terror. In my cabin, I thought of the tall man, now dead somewhere in the ocean, and I opened the curtains around his berth. It was empty. Suddenly, I noticed that the window was open and secured with a hook. Angry, I went to look for the steward. I showed him the window. "Why is it open?" I shouted. "I'll report you to the captain." The steward was frightened, and he closed the window. "Nobody can keep this window closed at night, sir. Look, is that locked or not? You try it and see, please." The window was securely locked. "Well, you'll see that in half an hour it'll be open again, and secured, too. That's the horrible thing, sir. It is secured with the hook." I checked the window again. "If I find it open in the night, I'll give you £10. But it's impossible." We said good night and I went to bed. I tried to sleep, but I couldn't. Sometimes I looked at the window. It was closed, and I smiled, thinking of the steward's story. As I was falling asleep, I suddenly felt some cold air and sea water on my face. I jumped out of bed, and the movement of the ship threw me onto the sofa under the window. It was open and secured with the hook. I was surprised, but not scared. I closed the window and locked it. Then I stood watching it in the dark cabin. Suddenly, I heard a sound behind me and turned round. A sound of pain came from the berth above mine. I opened the curtains and put my hands in. There was somebody in it. The air was very damp, and there was a horrible smell of old seawater. I touched a man's arm. It was wet and as cold as ice. As I pulled it, the thing came towards me, a soft, wet, heavy thing, and it fell against me. I fell back across the cabin. In a moment, the door opened and the thing ran out. I followed it as fast as possible. I'm sure I saw it in the low light of the corridor before it disappeared. Now, I was really frightened. This is crazy, I thought. Had I really seen it? I went back into the cabin, lit a candle, and saw with horror that the window was open. I looked at the other berth. It smelt of seawater, but it was dry. I closed the window and sat on the sofa all night. The window did not open. When dawn came, I got dressed and went on deck, where I saw the ship's doctor. "You were right, Doctor," I said. "There's something very strange about cabin 105. "Did you have a bad night?" he asked. So I told him everything. Then I asked if he believed me. "Yes, of course. You must come and stay in my cabin tonight." "Why don't you come and stay in mine for one night? Help me to understand what happened." "I'm sorry, but no, I don't want to see any ghosts." I laughed at him. "Do you really believe it was a ghost?" "Can you explain it then?" he asked angrily. "No, you can't." "But you're a doctor, a man of science. You must know there's a rational explanation." "There isn't a rational explanation. I hope you find somebody to help you. Good morning, Mr. Brisbane." And the ship's doctor continued his walk. I didn't want to spend another night in my cabin, but I was obstinate and decided to do it alone. I couldn't find anybody to help me. Later, I met the captain and told him this. "I'll stay with you tonight," he said, "and we'll see what happens. I think we can find out what's wrong with that berth." He brought a carpenter to the cabin and told him to examine the berth very carefully. When the carpenter finished his work, he said, "In my opinion, it's better to lock the door with some big screws. 4 people have died already. This cabin is haunted." "I'll try it for one more night," I answered. I was feeling better now because I had the captain's company for the night. He was a calm, brave man, and he really wanted to solve the mystery. I was smoking a cigar at about 10 o'clock that evening when he came to speak to me. "This is a serious problem, Mr. Brisbane," he said. "We've lost 4 passengers on 4 trips, so we must find out what's wrong. If nothing happens tonight, we'll try tomorrow. Are you ready?" We went down to cabin 105. The captain closed the door and locked it. He put my big suitcase in front of the door and sat on it, so nothing could get out. The window was closed. I opened the curtains around the other berth and put my lamp there. Then I checked around the cabin and under my bed and the sofa. Nobody can come into the cabin, nobody can open the window, and only you and I are in the cabin, I said. "Very good," answered the captain calmly. "So, if we see anything, it's only our imagination, or something supernatural." "Do you really believe it's something supernatural?" I asked sleepily. "No, I don't." "What are you looking at?" I didn't answer. I was looking at the window. Was the lock really beginning to turn, or was it my imagination? Yes, perhaps it was. Very slowly. So slowly that I wasn't really sure. "It's moving!" the captain cried. "But what's that smell? I can smell old seawater. Can you?" "Yes. It's strange because the cabin is dry," I said. Just then my lamp suddenly went out. As I stood up to get it, the captain jumped up with a loud cry of surprise. I turned and ran towards him as he called for help. He was trying to stop the window from opening, but the lock was turning against his hands. Suddenly, the window opened. The captain, his face very pale, stood by the door so nobody could escape. "There's somebody in that berth!" he shouted, his eyes big and scared. "Stand by the door while I look. It won't escape." But I jumped up and put my hands into the upper berth. Inside there was something ghostly and horrible, and it moved in my hands. It felt like the body of a drowned man, cold, soft and wet from a long time in the water. I held on to it tightly, but it was as strong as 10 men, and it moved, a smooth, wet thing with a putrid smell and dead white eyes that stared at me, and wet hair over its dead face. It pushed against me, put its arms around my neck, and forced me back. I fought with the thing, but it was too strong, and finally I fell and let it go. It moved quickly towards the captain. He tried to hit it, but he fell down with a cry of horror. As the thing stood over the captain, I almost screamed with terror, but I had no voice. Suddenly, the thing disappeared. It seemed to go through the window, but I don't know how that was possible. The captain and I lay on the floor for a long time. When I moved at last, I knew my arm was broken. I stood up and tried to help the captain. He wasn't injured, but he was in a bad state of shock. That's the end of my story. The ship's carpenter put 4 big screws in the door of 105, and no passengers slept in it again. If you ever travel on the Kamchatka and ask for that cabin, the captain will tell you that it's occupied. Yes, it is occupied by a dead thing.